Hello. In this clip from our Justia webinar, Content Creator Law by a Content Creator, Julian Sarafian talks about how social media is growing among all different audiences and gives an overview of what to expect in the upcoming years. Remember, if you want to see more Justia videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Law in the Creator Economy. My name is Julian Sarafian, and in today's lecture, we're going to deep dive on the legal terms that show up in the creator economy, a high-level overview of what the creator economy is, the money in social media, why this is really important, not just for you as a lawyer, but for you as a citizen and as a human being, because these platforms, these tools, they are only getting more and more prevalent in modern day society, as I'm sure you're well aware if you have children and you see them using all of these various pieces of tech. So let's get started. First, let's talk about moi. Who is it? Given this lecture, I'm an attorney. I graduated Harvard Law School in 2018. I'm in California, West Coast, Best Coast. I have no shame about that. And I used to work in big law at big law firm Wilson Sonsini, Goodrich, and Rosati. They are a powerhouse Silicon Valley firm that works primarily with technology companies. They're a big law firm. And I worked for them for about 3 years before quitting during the pandemic to explore other endeavors and work on my own mental health, which had taken a huge beating during the pandemic, as I'm sure it did for many of you out there too, because the pandemic was really rough. Nowadays, I'm a law firm owner. I run my own shop, For Creators by Creators PC, and my firm primarily represents content creators, social media influencers, social media agencies, and folks that are adjacent to or in the creator economy world and industry. But in addition to that, I'm also a content creator myself. So you might see me pop up on your LinkedIn or your TikTok or maybe even your YouTube sometime talking about law, mental health, politics, social policy, or just giving career advice and paying it forward to the next generation of lawyers because I love doing that. But most importantly, I'm the guy that's on your screen for this class. It's great to meet you, albeit virtually. Okay, let's talk about the power behind social media, because I'll be honest, if you told me when I was in law school or even when I was in big law that I would end up carving a career out of the social media space, I would have laughed at you, because I would have said social media is for either like very, very attractive people in LA who have the looks and they have the personality and they have the lifestyle that curates and caters to building an audience, right? Or it's for posting memes and like making fun of the status quo by creating like silly content, but that's not even really a career. That's more of just generating some sort of, fun and engaging content. But I learned very quickly in my adventures after big law how powerful social media is. And if you do some research, and we're going to talk about it, I think that you'll agree with me. So first of all, it's one of the most utilized digital activities, period. And it's only growing. There's a lot of reasons why it might be growing. I think the main one is that people are getting older. As the older generation, transitions out and the younger generation transitions in, the younger generation is beyond just being natives to technology. These kids are plugged in from the womb, to the various social media platforms and just content generating platforms that exist out there. And it's second nature to them. So that's probably only going to increase as the rate of usage gets higher and higher with the younger generation aging upward. So as of 2021, 4.26 billion people are actively using social media, expected to grow to 6 billion by 2027. That's stunning. I mean, if you conceptualize that for just a minute, it's nearly half of the global population, and it may well be more than the global or more than half the global population by 2027. This 6 billion number, I have a feeling, is conservative too. The thing with the creator economy that we'll touch on later is that the growth in it has been exponential. Venture capitalists, when faced with entrepreneurs pitching creator-related companies as little as 4 or 5 years ago, laughed at their face and said, there's no way this industry is even going to be worth $100 million by 2023. And now it's worth well over several $billion as an industry. Now, social media itself is important to think about because, as you may be aware if you use it, its draw is that it's masking as social time for you as the user. I mean, it's the way that you keep in touch with your old friends. It's the way that you connect with your new friends and develop new relationships. And it's the way for companies and brands to market themselves to new customers, to their existing customer base, and to build a personality that they otherwise just wouldn't have on the internet. That's what social media allows for us to do. That's primarily why I think it's very popular. I don't think many would disagree with that. And the last point I want to touch on here is there are, I think, some misunderstandings about what social media currently is, because if you're around my age, I'm around 30 years old. It used to be, when it came out, very much a platform where you would connect with your friends. Just like I was talking about, the thing that drew you in is, oh, I can like talk to my high school friends or my middle school friends. I can keep in touch. We can post photos. We can like share on each other's wall on Facebook, all that sort of stuff. Over time, and this isn't the best thing, but it's happened, mainly because I think these companies are profit seeking, and this is the most profitable way for them to curate a platform. These platforms have shifted slightly away from being purely about connecting peer-to-peer and human-to-human, social-to-social interactions, and they've shifted to sharing raw information instead. And information can come in a variety of ways. It can be a meme, like we just talked about earlier, just original content that's sharing like a vibe or an inside joke or relatable content, or it could just be legitimate information. You know, here is when the United States was founded, and here's a brief overview in a short video that's 30 seconds with like really good editing. In my case, here's some information about these various law schools, you know, for your pre-law students, so you can think about and weigh what law school is the best fit for you. Here's some information about a law firm. Here's some information about this new act that Congress just passed and President Biden signed into law. People are drawn to these platforms to gain value, and the days of going on them just so they can see what their friends are up to, they're long gone. You have a little bit of that on the edges, and I think like Facebook has shifted back towards it after being criticized heavily for shifting too far to the side of like pushing information and memes and things of that nature onto people. But this era is here to stay. And this is relevant for our discussion because in the future, content creators, I think what you're going to find are going to be really focused on this aspect of social media, the information sharing, not necessarily building a relationship or selling a brand or selling their personality, as much as I have a cool perspective because I do this job. Let me show you what it's like to be in this job. Let me tell you about it. Let me share my expertise with the world. And people love that stuff. So, some more data points for you. The average person uses 7 social media networking platforms per month. It's a lot, but not as scary as the next statistic. The average person uses social networking platforms for 95 minutes per day. An hour and a half, that's a full-length feature film every single day that the average consumer is deciding is worth more on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, than watching a film. Whether that's good for humanity or bad, I have my own thoughts, but what can't be understated is that these this usage and the power of these platforms is second to none here. Facebook is still dominant. It's the most used platform by marketers worldwide, and that's primarily because they have the most data on their consumers and they've cracked the code for effective targeted advertising. So advertisers actually know if I do a good job targeting my consumer, I can actually convert sales. It's a problem that I think platforms like Twitter have not yet solved. Facebook is responsible for 1/4 of all advertisements you see on the internet. That's probably going to increase over time too. Average use of 33 minutes per day on the platform. Instagram, which as we know is owned by Facebook and now Meta. Highest engagement for streaming service advertising at 81%. It's a 6 times higher engagement rate than Facebook, just for your benefit. An engagement rate is the rate at which people are actually liking or commenting or sharing a piece of content. not just viewing it. Viewing it is engagement, but when data crunching folks look at engagement rates, what they're really focused on is, are people liking it? Are they sharing it? Are they commenting on it? By the way, when you do that, you're telling the platform that that's a good piece of content that it should continue to share. So a lot of content creators, when they're first starting out, they'll get their first hate comments, and it's a very exciting moment because, first of all, wow, someone's hating on me. That means that there's something here. There's value. But also, wow, they're hating on me and they're commenting on it, which is going to generate more feedback in the system that tells, TikTok or Instagram, hey, this content is exciting. We should push it to more people. So they're actually helping the creator by hating on them. And that's what a lot of creators say. Thank you for paying our bills, trolls. Back to Instagram, though, 44% of IG users use Instagram shopping weekly. And Instagram shopping is, if you're not aware, it's one of these features where you can buy things directly from Instagram or from creators who list their products on Instagram. But Instagram, as powerful as it is, it's not as new and sexy as TikTok. TikTok came out of nowhere in 2019, 2020. And since then, it's been the fastest growing platform, 105% growth rate in the past 2 years across the US. It's not going to get banned. Don't even start that discussion. It will never happen. Never. For a variety of reasons. Mainly because it has way too much clout amongst Gen Z and a lot of other people in the United States. To ban it would just be, amounting to censoring all of those people, including myself, who have built a platform on the app. So I think if anything, the United States will work on an acquisition of it. But in any event, as I just mentioned, very popular with Gen Z. It's the most popular social media app for them. Nearly 40% of people in a survey said they're most likely to purchase products they discover from TikTok endorsements. That's huge. And TikTok is actively innovating and creating new features to grow more rapidly and to make money, most importantly. Most recently, TikTok Shop was introduced, and this is similar to Instagram Shop in that you as a creator can pair up with a product that you like and say, hey, I use this product when I study, law school cases, and here it is in my TikTok Shop. And then however many people buy it, you will get a commission cut from those sales, and that transaction can take place in the app. Pinterest has 400 million monthly active users, and shoppers on Pinterest utilize the shopping feature more than on any other social networking site. So if you want to pause here and take a look at some of this data, I think that you can see that there's a lot of money flowing into this industry. We're going to talk about this later, but the main way that creators make a living is through brand deals. When a brand comes to a creator and says, hey, your audience likes something that's in I think that your audience will like my product or service. I'm going to pay you, let's say $1,000. You're going to then do a video talking about it. So that's where a lot of the money goes, both for the creators and to the actual platforms themselves. And the platforms want their algorithms and their service to create an effective advertising machine, because they know that if they don't, then they don't draw in those advertiser dollars. And you can see here that Instagram and Facebook are both very high by way of where companies are going to spend their advertising money. TikTok is lower, and that shouldn't surprise us because TikTok is a newer company. I don't think that they have as much data as Facebook and Instagram, so the targeting is not going to be as good, and they're still figuring it out, right? But TikTok certainly has millions of people, 100 million plus in the United States using the app. So I think we can expect these numbers to go up for sure. And of course, the right side column is the more relevant because it was a couple of years ago rather than 2019 when TikTok had just come out. Notably, Twitter is down here at 32%. They've historically struggled a lot. We'll see if that changes now that it's called X and Elon Musk owns it, but given all the Nazism on the platform, TBD. Okay, so let's talk about social media influencers themselves. You might be wondering, what constitutes a social media influencer? Are there tiers of them? And that's what we're going to get into with this slide. So, as I talked about earlier, I think we all need to make a shift in our head of what a social media influencer is. It's no longer the Kylie Jenners of the world where every post is them with a Ferrari or a beautiful mansion in LA and Beverly Hills. That niche is always going to exist. It's always going to be around. There's going to be new ones. I'm not saying that it's dead. Of course it's not. But there's a new era and a new genre of creators out there who are a bit different. And those are the ones kind of like myself who are just either career professionals or just people just creating interesting content or talking about things or sharing information. And if you get into the numbers, you have what is generally known as a nano influencer. That's 10,000 followers or less. Micro influencers, 10 to 100K. Macro, 100K to 1 million. And sometimes I'd say micro, some people would consider less than 500,000 micro. So these are not like hard and fast rules. It's more like general guidelines. So some people say up to 500K for micro, and then anything above that is macro. And then there's mega influencers, which are over 1 million. We've touched on this. I won't spend too much time here, but the basic thing you need to remember is you could be, I think the best example of like the old versus the new is somebody on Instagram posting photos of their lifestyle, their brunch, sells an image, sells a brand. It's very different than a LinkedIn influencer who purely communicates primarily through written content, thought pieces, maybe never posts a photo, never posts a video, but still has hundreds of thousands of followers, is famous, monetizes with their audience, does brand deals, right? They walk and talk the same way when it comes to being a creator on the monetization side, even if they're producing very different content. And one other point, in the old days, it wasn't as cool to be authentic or raw on camera. But with the advent and dominance of short form video, being authentic and raw, whatever that means to you, a lot of the time, I think it means just being super passionate, just letting it all out, crying on camera if that's what you feel in that moment, just not censoring anything, not curating it. That can really pop off on these platforms. And I think it's just an interesting angle for all of us to think about because everybody can be authentic and raw. Not everybody can drive around in a Lamborghini and take photos in LA, right? But everybody can be authentic and raw. Everybody can be a human being. And that's what people are drawn to. Now, building a brand from that's a different story, right? It's not that simple as a content creator to have one viral video and expect to be an influencer now. That's not how it works. You have to continue to curate content and make interesting content that resonates with an audience. But certainly being authentic helps with that. And that's, I think, something new because like we've talked about, on these platforms, especially Instagram, I think the opposite was true for a long time. It wasn't really authentic. It's like super curated stuff. People will pose for photos that seem, or it'll be a staged photo, even though it's purporting not to be staged. It looks like it's authentic, but it's really not. But it's a lot harder to do that on video, and I think that's what we've been seeing. But in addition to that, you don't have to even necessarily create your own original content all the time. TikTok, a part of the reason that it's grown so rapidly is because it's given creators an assist in producing content in the form of trends and dances and original TikTok sounds. When you do a trend, you just follow the trend. It's like a formula, right? It tells you what to do. You just plug in yourself on camera doing the right actions and putting the text where it belongs, and you have a video. And on top of the fact you have a video, it's generally going to be pretty popular because people on the app are drawn to the trends because everybody else is doing them. So the creator already, or the consumer rather, already understands intuitively what they're going to be getting. We've talked about information sharing. Just as a side tangent here, so many doctor influencers. If you are a doctor, my God, people love learning about medicine. You go on these platforms, you just start rattling off facts about medicine and you will get thousands of views. I guarantee it. Not as easy for law. Law, I think it's more perspective based and judgment based. It's more like gray area. That's kind of the nature of the profession, our profession. We're not as locked down or as quantitative as medicine, but there are so many doctor influencers, and that's only going to increase over time too. But I think it's a great example of what I was talking about earlier with pure information sharing. These people are not selling a lifestyle or a brand at all. They're just telling you, here's why vitamin C is important to you. 5 benefits, listed in text in front of just their face as they're sitting at a desk. And these people do really well. I've several of them as my clients, and they're doing a really good job. The last point, these days, video is the dominant sort of content. If you want to succeed, if you want to grow on these platforms, doing it through posts, still frame images, text-based written articles is going to be much more difficult. TikTok is the main engine of growth these days. It's the way that you can go viral the most easily. And TikTok is essentially a short-form video app. They have a little bit of optionality nowadays for posting photos where people can swipe through, but those posts typically don't do as well as videos. So if being a creator is something that you're considering, or those around you are considering, you got to get on camera.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos on law practice and legal marketing. See you in our next clip.